dos, tres.
Oops. Hello, everybody. I know you can't see me, but you can now. Welcome to another episode of 2K Drones. It's a festive one. It's our holiday special. And we got the band back together. So, without further ado, let me introduce my brother from another mother, my good old buddy, Chuckleback.
Hey, ho, ho, ho. Happy holidays, everybody. Hey, Keith.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Good, good. Get all your shopping done?
No, I never do. And we misplaced him down the back of the sofa for a couple of weeks, but we finally found him, Mr. Henry Robotic.
There he is.
Hello.
So, wow, we've got a few people in the chat today. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. Hey, Bill, how you doing, buddy? Hey, Thomas. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Hey, Mrs. Kovac. Hi. And I saw Espin. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Hello to everybody in the chat. So we are going to be doing a news roundup, and then we're going to talk a little bit about flying drones in the winter. And then because it's Christmas and there's going to be quite a few people probably getting drones of various descriptions under the Christmas tree,
Like
we
Mavic
thought
trees?
we'd talk about those mainly. Father Christmas is going to have an expensive year, but
You have a big
we
bill.
thought we'd talk about editing programs because it's always at this time of year that you see thousands of questions on which editor should I use. So we're going to talk about that. So let's kick off the news and we'll get the Mavic 3 stuff out the way, and then we'll move on to a bit of other news. So first off, Christmas came early for some lucky Mavic 3 owners in the fact that DJI released the firmware that they promised would be coming in January early. So technically, you now have most of the features that DJI
90+%,
promised.
right? There's only a couple
Yes.
of things that aren't there now.
Well, it doesn't have waypoints, and DJI claiming they're not going to put that on there.
Really?
Yep.
I
It doesn't
heard
have
that.
like any kind of course lock ability. So, and they've released what they're calling Focus Track, which is Active Track, POB, and Spotlight. And okay, the Active Track has a few more features on than the Air 2S does. But none of these drones have any kind of course lock, autopilot, or waypoint. So if you're a one-man band and you want to film yourself, and sometimes you need to film yourself not flying the damn drone, it doesn't look like the Mavic 3 can do that. And you can do that with a Mavic 2 Pro. So whilst you're getting very pretty images out of it, and it's a very nice drone, and it flies for a long time, it still doesn't have as many features as the Mavic 2 Pro. I'm sorry, but it doesn't.
I think it will.
It's a fact.
They're just slow on rolling those out. They can add that stuff.
But the Active Track, whilst I've seen quite a few videos on it, and the Active Track is good, but it's still a bit jangly. It's still a bit. I mean, it's much better than the beta stuff that I saw. The beta stuff was god awful, but
It'll be better. Look, I'm going to be the
needs
optimist.
improvement.
It
will
tweak
do.
it. Yeah, but it is. They did roll it out early, and they have some rough edges. They got to freaking file down, and not just polish, but file down. But they will. They'll get it, because if they really want to properly say adios and rest easy Mavic 2 series, they're gonna have to get all that stuff. You can't take that much stuff away. Well, actually, DJI always does this. They take things away and they add things.
They go one step back and two forward.
I will say this in the wing category. At least now it is a release candidate drone. At least it feels like that it can be released and you're not getting shortchanged.
I'm ready for it, Mrs. Claus.
This feels like the Air 2S when it first came out, and to a certain extent, in fact, it's probably better than the Mavic 2 Pro when it first came out. Because let's face it, we had to wait quite a few months for some of those features,
like precision landing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It took a while.
I still think DJI Fly is not a great app. I've had quite a few debates over the last few weeks online about this. Somebody said, is it down to the fact that you have to sit there and find stuff? I said that is partly it, but when you are buying a pro level piece of an equipment and you're upgrading from your Mavic 2 Pro, you do not have time to spend a week relearning an application in order to go out and make money. Sometimes you have to go out for a shoot the next day. And so at this point in time, I still think that the Mavic 3, for some professionals, they're not going to be operating this yet because they're going to have to take time out of their businesses to learn DJI Fly. And even then, DJI Fly is still not a pro level app. It is consumer at best. And there are still numerous missing features, although we have finally got the expo settings, and that has made quite a big difference to my Air 2S because I had it out the other day, and oh god, it flies much better now. That
Stick control is much better, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been able to fine tune that.
So I haven't flown. I haven't flown the Mini 2 since the firmware change on Fly. I'll have to give that a whirl.
And I mean, I'm still flying my Mavic 2 on the old Go 4, which I still think is superior to
it's a workhorse,
Fly,
but
there's nothing you can convince me otherwise.
Yeah, you gotta let it go. We just have to let it go. Sorry, Henry.
No, we can't. At this moment, I'm not letting it go because DJI are charging. No, I'm not, because DJI are charging £4,000 for a drone.
$4,000 for like,
and they're giving us a far inferior app. So no, they have to get that app sorted and they have to do it quickly.
I guess I haven't given it a fair shake yet because like I've used Fly and Go 4 because I had to. When I was in Scotland, I had to use the Mini 2, which is on Fly, and use the Mavic 2, which is on Go 4. And I didn't have cases where I didn't have what I needed to adjust wherever I was. So like, I'm not sure what you guys are bickering about, honestly. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Right, okay. I'll tell you what there are several things that I can bicker about. It took me ages to find out how to reset the home point. It's not where it's not in an obvious place.
My home point
no expo settings until the other day, which made
I've never had to reset the home point. I popped the drone up, I let it hover till like the home point has been, and then I'm good.
I had a cause to do it, and it's not there. Clicking on the settings when you're trying to change things down in the corner, it's still fiddly. You don't have the ability to fine tune your settings. So in Go 4, you could say 120, meters. You could do that without having to click on these stupid sliders, right? You could just go boom, 120, boom, your settings are done. It feels like a kindergarten app in the nicest possible way, and you are selling a pro consumer drone at pro level pricing, yet your app is inferior to your previous pro level thing by a significant amount. Well, in my opinion, yes, I think they have to massively change the GUI. I think the GUI is just,
it's too confusing and it's too hard to find just normal stuff. Like, it took me forever to set my return to home height because there was a tree next to me and I wanted to change my return to home and my return to home height. And it took me like 20 minutes to find the setting. I literally had to look it up. It was it was bad.
I was doing a couple of things because I was setting up the Mavic Air 2 because I sold my Air 2. And I was trying to set this up and get it all, like connecting the controller now, right? This is a thing, right? When you want to sync it to the controller, whereas on Go 4, right, you had a button that said connect my drone, right? And you'd pick the drone that you're trying to connect to, and it would just start bleeping right from that splash screen you get at the beginning before you go on Let's Go Fly. No. You do that on Fly, it just gives you a load of instructions. What it doesn't tell you is you then have to look this up online. You have to go to camera view, then go into the settings, then connect the drone. Not obvious. The thing is, it's not intuitive. There's like panorama, right? Panoramic pictures would be under photos. No, it's under its own setting at the bottom. It's not even next to photos. It's at the bottom. So even if you're going to do it as a separate thing, it's still not logical. So sorry, I am not a fly thingy, and I had quite a lot of frustration with it, especially the other week. When I'm flying my Air 2S and I just shove it up in the air, it's fine. But as soon as you want to do anything with it, it becomes annoying.
Okay, so that's why I haven't been frustrated by that stuff, because when I fly the Mini 2, it's usually like it's my backup when like I can't fly the Mavic 2 Pro for whatever reason. I'll use the Mini 2, and I'm usually not as critical because it's a Mini 2.
You're not changing stuff. You're not far-tossing around with all
so like if I go to use fly with like something more serious like an Air 2S or this Mavic 3, which they answered Drone Phoenix. Yeah, I'll probably have one. So just for the first time ever, I'm not in a hurry to get it, because stuff like this mostly it's like I have Mavic 2s that fly great.
This might change Chuck's mind, because it is now official. DJI are bringing a Fly More with the RC Pro. Funny enough, I saw an Air 2S with the RC Pro today in the window, and I was no, because then I'll have to sell my other Air 2S.
Lori and I were talking, and she's like, she says, "I'm confused. What's the difference between the drone you were talking about a month ago and the one you just talked about, which is what you have on the screen? It's the Mavic 3 with the RC Pro as a Fly More." And I was like, you're getting confused between the Cine drone, the Mavic 3 with Cine and the Mavic 3 without. I said, other than that, it's just the aircraft's a little different. So, well, does it have the same lacking features and stuff? I said, well, they're exactly the same aircraft wise. She's just getting confused. And I could see a lot of people, because Lori's looking at it like a lot of people are who aren't following this stuff day to day. So she's like, well, what's the difference, Chuck? I mean, and I told her about ProRes and stuff and how I don't really need it. She's like, yeah, but do you want it? I was like, sort of, but I don't need it, because you can anyway. So there's confusion out there about this, but this is a great package right here. Mavic 3 with the RC Pro.
I'll tell you one other thing, right? So I went from flying flying my Mavic 2 with the original Pro remote to my Air 2 with the smart controller, right? And because I sold the Mavic Air 2 that I had with the basic controller, because I wanted to keep my smart controller, and I was flying the Air 2. And that basic controller, I mean, when I first got it, I was saying, why is everybody complaining? I mean, I'm spoiled, right? There is no buttons underneath. There's no 5D button on it.
It is. It does. You do get spoiled, and that's a pretty big step backwards. I mean, like the controller itself is decent, but it's kind of like using Fly versus Go 4. There's stuff that's just not there. But Fly can be improved. To circle back around to Fly,
no, I'm going to circle. I'm not, but the controller can't. Right,
no, the controller
and this is the
physically
lacking.
I have
for
years on the Mavic 2. I had those two buttons underneath configured.
One to switch off the
sensors. One to switch off the sensors, because there are times when you were taking off from like a hotel balcony, and one was to fiddle the light on and off.
Oh, see, we all had but the cool thing was they were configurable, because like I used mine for one of mine was for focus.
Yes.
And then the other one was to get the gimbal to go all the way down and back to normal.
You could do that with the 5D button on mine, but again,
I could on mine too.
You could customize that.
But you could do it any way that made you happy and comfortable when you were piloting the drone.
Exactly. So if I was going from the Mavic 2 Pro to the Mavic 3 and I got that controller, I can tell you how I kept trying to click the button when I was flying this thing with the controller and showing my mate how to fly a drone.
Yeah.
And I'm going, where the buttons? And I just got thinking, this is the controller that they're shipping with the Mavic 3. If I just paid 93,000 baht, which is $3,500, I'd be really pissed off right now. So the only controller that you can fly that Mavic 3 with is the RC Pro. So this now makes some sense. This is now the package. And as to answer to all the people going, are we going to buy it? I'm kind of with Chuck. I will probably get this. I do want this drone. Don't get me wrong. I want the drone.
I'm still tempted to get the Cine just because I don't know why. Just because I have it. If I have it under the hood of it, you can still fly it just like the Mavic 3, right? You can still record with the SD card, yada, yada, yada.
Honestly, looking at all of the things that you have to go through to the ProRes. So I was watching Philip Bloom. For people who don't know who he is, he's a British guy that lives quite close to where my parents live in Richmond. Ted Lasso fans, you'll know of Richmond. And he has a very good point. Because of the battery life on this drone, you can probably fill up that 1 terabyte drive on a battery, right? Now, if you're a professional, you then need to offload that footage. You use up half a battery in about 20 minutes getting that footage, even with the high-speed cable, off that drone, because they did not make the SD drive removable. That is their biggest mistake when it comes to pros. That you have to get the footage off it. So why they make interchangeable SD drives?
Yes, that thing should have. You should have like an M2 drive that like basically is in a little housing and just like a battery. You change your
just unscrew
your NVMe. Yeah, you swap out. You only have to unscrew it. It'd be cool if it was just like in a little housing and like it could even be like, my God, we just designed it right now. It's like it's so simple. It should literally pop in, pop out. It just an NVMe, and you have like you have a stack of them.
Pop the shell off, unscrew it, put a new one in, and that's it.
No one's screwing. No one's screwing, man. It should just be like, it should be the whole thing. Should just come in and out through the back with like some kind of it's in there, but push in, push out something. So close. We've almost designed it.
Do you want to answer Thomas's question? Because you do.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Well, I think all three of us now have we Henry with that. Beauty of a graphics card in yours. So
3080 i9 with an ungodly number of cores. I'm 64 gigs of. Yeah, I'm good.
We're going to talk. Funny enough, we're going to when we come to talking about editors, that's going to come up with the various editors as well. But look. I'm annoyed by DJI Fly. I do not like it, but it will not stop me buying this drone with that remote because that remote is awesome. The thing that is really confusing at the moment is we know that the smart remote or the new
RC
Pro works with the Air 2S because DJI have run out of smart controllers and components to ship with their smart controller Fly More for the 2S. So they've started shipping it with the RC Pro. It has now become apparent, because real people have got it in their hands, that it uses a special firmware. Now, if you own the RC Pro, both sets of firmware are available online. You can download them, you can flash it, and it will work. The thing is, if you have the Air 2S firmware, it does not work with the 3. If you have the 3, it does not work with the Air 2S. Oh God, why, DJI? Now, there is probably a technical reason for this.
Laziness.
But here's an idea. Communicate with your customers why that is, because there's now even more confusion and you're not telling people because it's like
that's a bandage. It's a bandage. But it's messy for them because now they can't just send out one set of firmware. Now you have to set out firmware for the Air 2S RC Pro. You have to send out firmware for the RC Pro for the Mavic 3. I can't imagine they want to go on very long with this. I think maybe they don't have the firmware quite ready for both of them together. And then maybe this thing too, the Mini 2, maybe get that on board too, please. Because that's actually, if anybody at DJI is paying attention, and I don't know if they are, but I'm not buying a Mavic 3 until that little Mini 2 can fly with the same RC Pro. That's one of my freaking, that's a hard no until that thing works.
I felt the RC Pro today because they had it on display in the camera shop, and it's nice. Espen, the Mavic 3 is well defined as a pro drone. It is and it isn't, because listening to a lot of pros, their biggest criticism is the non-removable SSD drives. So if you fill up that footage, as I said, you then have to take 20 minutes downloading it. So
which is a whole battery and then some, I believe. When
you don't want to do, don't want to do that. The Inspire 2 has removable SSDs, because the Inspire 2 could do ProRes. So you removed one SSD, stick it in your bag, put another one in, and then you do all your downloading at the end of the day, not in the middle of your shoot.
So Keith, there's the bit that they held back with the design, because they know that. They just held back. So this makes a decision a lot easier for a guy like you and me and Henry and everybody probably in the chat who's not flying for National Geographic or whatever. It's like, okay,
there is a
heck with ProRes. You just don't need it right now. And then maybe the Mavic 4 or the 3S or whatever the heck they're going to call the next one might have removable large like ProRes storage, which is important.
There is a persistent rumor that the 3S is coming. There is a persistent rumor.
I haven't put out yet.
Oh no, it's persistent enough that, put it this way, right? We saw rumors of the Air 2S 6 months before it came out. Hell, there was a shot leaked of it 4 or 5 months before it came out.
Yes.
There is persistent rumor that that DJI are running around potentially speeding up this because of the criticisms around the 3. So, you know, they do tend to listen to pros like Philip Bloom and other pros, and those pros have been very critical of certain aspects of it. Let's get it right. The imagery out this thing is gorgeous. The ProRes is the paupers version of ProRes on it, but it's good enough for most you know, small to medium sized businesses and National Geographic traveling. It's good enough for that. Okay. But there are several things that just let it down from being perfect. DJI have done something they have never done before, and I keep saying this. By them extending the warranty on this thing, they have lost face. And to an Asian company, that is absolutely huge. So
yes, you've talked about it before. We probably shouldn't dwell on it, but the extended warranty is an indicator that they made a mistake. They won't say they made a mistake, but that's how they express to everybody that they made a mistake. But all right, well, let's hope they finish it, Keith. Let's just hope they finish it.
Look, I'm going to probably end up with one, but I might give it.
Of course you are, just like I am. It's just like
I might give it a couple more months.
Let's see who breaks. Anybody want to wager in the chat? Like, is it going to be Keith or me that's going to get one first? Because we're both going to crumble. It's just a matter of time. So, like,
I've got a couple of things to sell first. I've got a gimbal to sell and a laptop to sell.
we should do an auction. 2K drones.
Hey, that would be funny.
Drones drone auction.
I just wanted to answer Espen. I loved my Air 2S, and I had it last week, and I just love that drone. You'll love it. Get it. You'll love it. Couldn't agree with Mr. Wedgeworth more. Could not agree more.
Thomas thinks me first. Crypto Man has one on the way.
Did you go for the Flymore or the Sin?
Or the base?
Or just the drone?
Yeah.
Henry, you've got some other bits. We should talk about the DJI leaked roadmap, because this is interesting.
Yes, I have an image of it on screen, or sharing my screen. But essentially, here we go. So we have all like the 2021 stuff. It's right here, like the Osmo Mobile 5 running 4D, and then all the other stuff down here. But then it's weird. We get to this year, and it's just it's weird. There's the Mini 3, the DJI RS3, RSC3, FPV Mini, Inspire 3, and Pocket 3. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but like
the Mini
my
3
main
in
points
April
are
is Well, it looks like they're counting. Are they counting backwards in months? So 12's December, 11's November, 10.
If they had a Mini 3 ready, April makes sense because DJI never released 2 drones at the same time, and they want enough of a length of time to fix issues.
Well, it'll be interesting. I think the Mini 3 is more poised to release like the Mini 2 and the Mini release, which is
another Mini. Really, like what are they gonna do? They already have
Active
4K.
track.
They're gonna have Active Track. Yeah, Keith's right. Active Track, maybe a slightly larger sensor. They're gonna do what Autel was supposed to do, but has
they're going to answer
through.
Autel's thing. It'll have forward obstacle avoidance, and it'll have active track.
Yeah. That stuff's coming. They're gonna make it.
And it'll be updated to A3.
If you put this Mini 2 on the scale, it comes in light. It's not 249 grams. It's like 243 or something, at least on my scale. So like there's room. And if they can change a few things, there's room to get at least forward sensors on it, if nothing else. I mean, it's changing. It's gonna get some stuff. They're just getting better and better. They'll drill holes in it if they have to make it work.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
whatever it takes to take some mass off of it.
I'm going to argue this. The only one that I kind of believe at the moment is the Mini 3 and the RS3. Those are obvious products. The FPV Mini has been rumored and people have speculated about it. Inspire 3?
No.
I wonder.
Is this more of a Christmas wish list?
And then also, why would they release an Inspire 3 when they have a Mavic 3 that's like
I can give you
$5,000 or some crap?
I can give you one good reason why they might be launching the Inspire 3. And I will give you one thing, and that's because of Sony's beautiful little thing that's now available for pre-order.
Yeah.
So that could answer that. Pocket 3.
How expensive would such a drone be?
Sony's drone like $18,000 starting off at $8,000. It's something ridiculously expensive, and that's not including the camera.
Exceedingly expensive, yeah.
So
but the pros need stuff. Hollywood needs stuff.
I mean, they have to be careful not to cannibalize their own setup already, because they already have a Mavic 3 that's really, really high in price. And unless they price this thing really, really high, then I think it might actually cannibalize like Mavic 3 sale.
I will lay money here now. If the Inspire 3 really does exist, it'll be $8,000 to $9,000.
Yeah,
they will go in at the same level as Sony.
You said Inspire. You said Inspire 3, right? I think did I hear Mini or Inspire? But you meant Inspire. If I heard Mini,
I meant Inspire 3.
Sorry,
FPV Mini. I've heard this speculated. People have speculated that DJI are going to do more in the FPV. If they bring the FP Mini out, I'll be there. I'll get that because I don't need. They will sell it as a drone-only pack because people who have already bought the FPV have got the controller and
it should be really affordable. That'll be like your stunt drone. Well, Keith will have an FPV stunt drone that we can just.
If it's a cheaper version, I will actually get it because I really actually do want a DJI FPV drone. I've been thinking about it, but maybe a cheaper, smaller option would probably be better for me. So that's looking like a good option for me if it does exist. I mean, I want it to exist personally. Now,
could they please let it work with like Lori knows because I leaked it, but like these cute little Facebook glasses that Ray-Ban's selling. I have a pair of those on the way, but Merry Christmas to me. But why can't you fly FPV without pure goggles and have just like AR glasses on or something, like an in-betweener? I know it seems like all the FPV guys are like,
well, the reason
you smoking, man, that's not FPV. And it's just saying.
The reason you can't do it with the current DJI FPV system because the goggles
have to connect. You have to connect your goggles to the phone, and
you don't. Your goggles is the phone. The goggles is the visual processing unit.
No, I thought there was a way to. I thought there's a way to connect your goggles to a phone, and then and then you could use a second device on your remote control to fly the drone.
There is a very convoluted way of getting the Epson Maverios, I believe, to work.
It is very
But you have to
convoluted. It's not
but
fun.
you have to still have the goggles on and strapped to you, because the goggles is the central unit. So the controller connects to the goggles. The anything else connects to the goggles, and it's the goggles that transmits. So if that's not connected, then it doesn't work. So that's why at the moment. But in theory, yes, you could use them. I'd be interested in the Mini. I don't know what they're going to do with the Pocket 3. If they stick a 1-inch sensor on there, yeah, I'll probably have it.
Maybe, yeah. I'll think about that one. But
if they stick the Air 2S camera on a Pocket 3, I'm there in space.
Oh yeah. There's if they came up with, they might not call it the Pocket 3, it might be the Pocket Pro or something. But can you imagine if they put a 1-inch sensor on that thing? And who cares if it's a little bigger? What a great device! I love my Pocket 2 to death. That thing is, man, I carry that thing everywhere. Everywhere that thing goes with me. It's so awesome.
Pocket 2 is fantastic.
Its low light performance is weak, though. It'd be nice to have the bigger sensor to bring more light in, be able to use it indoors more.
DJI for your Pocket 3, just a suggestion if you're watching this. The Do It All handle, like you've done with the Action 2, stick an extra battery in there, please, because it lasts about 45 minutes. So it would be really, really nice if we could get at least an hour and a half out of that.
And you can't charge it. The other thing that's DJI, if you're listening, the other thing is if you let the battery get low, you can't charge it and use it at the same time. Like I had a power pack with me. I plugged it into the Pocket 2, had it on a table while Lori and I were doing one of our beer tasting vlogs. The thing still went flat, turned off. We were hosed.
Yep.
So then because of redundancy, Keith, I had a Pocket in my pocket. So I used the redundancy.
I've kept hold of my original Pocket as redundancy.
Yeah, sometimes you need, like in Scotland, I had 3 pockets with me packed because I was like, what if I go flat? I got to have one ready to go. If I have a flat,
the charging case helps, but not when you're riding a bike. Okay, the microphone that they give you with the Do It All handle, which is actually really good.
We're drifting off
that lasts the charge for a while, but the other one doesn't. So Pocket 3, there could be some improvements there. I think these two with the the FPV Mini with the question mark, the RS3 I can believe because they bring out new gimbals every year.
The only two I can really believe are Mini 3 and RSC3. The rest are I don't know.
I mean, I'd like to see what DJI are going to do in the FPV market. Whatever they do, it better be more durable. An FPV Mini could, feasibly be that. It might even be just hook up your Action 2 to it.
Hey, I
know the Action 2 works well with FPV, so
I wanted to say hello to Keith. I wanted to say hello to Mike and Kai, who just jumped in.
Wow, you're all turning up this week. Hi Kai, how you doing, buddy?
Kai's been doing a live stream.
Yes,
kind of cool. I've dropped in a few times. We got to get these guys on here, man. We got to get our droning on freaking posse. We have to get these guys on.
Well, they're all in the crowd today. Yeah. Henry, is there anything else you want to touch on?
I actually have more stuff than I thought I did. I do actually have. This is weird. These are fake images of the Mini 3.
Yeah, it's a Mavic 3.
Yeah, you could tell immediately. But this is the same guy, Drone Modelismo, whatever, who leaked the original blurry images of the Mavic 3. And it's just sad to see this because this is definitely a fake image. Like
the Mini 2 camera.
This is the raw resolution. You can see this has been cut out. It's totally Photoshop. 100%. You can tell.
But imagine a Mini 3 that was like a Mavic 3 Mini or something.
Well, the arms are too long.
Well, I know.
This is totally
Take
wrong.
My money. Yeah.
Total fake. But yeah, there is no FCC filing. Trust me, I checked like a bunch of stuff.
You won't see until Feb.
Yeah.
You won't see. Yeah.
And then this is that. There is a weird rumor about like a DJI like
Fixed wing?
plane looking thing, but there's
Thing is
a couple
huge.
weird things about this. Mostly that the actual plane looks like it's made by another company called XAG.
Yeah, but
Right
DJI
here.
have got into bed with companies before.
Yeah,
mean,
it's either DJI has worked with XAG to make this, and maybe it'll come out as an agricultural drone, or
You're-
straight up the leak is just wrong and it's just an XAG drone.
You might find that DJI has pimped out its transmission system. It might have pimped out O3 because
Yeah.
that is proprietary and still classed as one of the best. So you might find that they've done that. I mean, they collaborated with that other company when they did that cheap little Tello drone, and that Tello drone was good actually. For kids to learn how to fly a drone, the Tello was great. So you might find that's what it is if it's true. I
don't know what to say about it, except Kai might know more about this than.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say. It's just kind of is, you know.
It's like a fixed
wings
wing.
are fun. Fixed wings are fun.
Oh my god! Look at you see what Shelby and oh my god, I'm drawing a blank now. Shelby Vole and Ed Ricker. He's Shelby around with his fixed wing. Yeah, and
that was
stuff's
awesome.
amazing. And yeah, the fixed wing would be really. I think I'd really dig flying a fixed wing.
Well, also notice this is a weirdly designed fixed wing. It is a drone, as in it has 4 motors and can hover without moving forward. See, there's like motor here, motor here, motor here, motor here. But it's also fixed wing, so it's like very weird.
It is very weird.
Also, I mean, this has been rumored for like ages, and like there's still more stuff coming about.
Like a serious compact camera.
Well,
it's like they own Hasselblad, so like I don't know.
Here's the one thing I will say that lends some credit to the Inspire 3, and I'm glad you've brought this up because this is rumored to be DJI's answer to Sony's A4S, which is a serious SLR video camera.
Can we circle back for just a second? Kai said it's a VTOL, I think VTOL.
Yeah.
The other aircraft.
Fixed wing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can find that.
So shame on us for cutting short on that. I'm sorry, but
oops, sorry.
But this DJI camera has been persistent for a while. I can see them releasing that and then releasing a load of lenses, in combination with Hasselblad, and then launching a platform for it in answer to Sony's AirPeak drone. And that this camera would be mounted to it, just like Sony's A series cameras can be mounted to the AirPeak. And there's DJI's answer. And there's going to be people that are going to buy this because it's got Hasselblad bit on it, and Hasselblad took the pictures on the moon.
Yeah. So what's funny is it actually already exists as a Hasselblad camera, not a DJI camera. So. Yeah. This would be the Hasselblad camera.
Yeah, but they own them. Do whatever they want.
Well, they own a share in them, I think.
No, I'm pretty sure DJI owns Hasselblad.
Do they own Hasselblad now outright?
Do they own maybe a majority? Do they own majority of the company or something?
Well, I know they certainly have a.
Well, that's some interesting stuff, Henry.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. DJI essentially.
100% stake in Hasselblad. Okay. Yeah, they own the whole thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Then it's only going to be a matter of time. The Inspire 3 could exist then, but it'll be a platform. It'll be a
gold shutter button. The Hasselblad gold shutter button.
Yeah.
I have that on my phone as a mod, my old phone, before I S-canned it.
So we've talked a lot about the news. We should move on to our 2 sort of other topics.
Yeah.
Chuck, you want to talk about flying drones in winter? Because I don't have a clue because it's not winter.
Hey, same.
Yeah, I think we should talk about it a little bit because we actually have snow flying up here finally today, and it's been unusually warm. But A lot of us do it, and this is probably not new to everybody, but I don't know. Since I got my drone, I've I don't even know how to play this stuff. How do you play this stuff, Keith? How do you play it?
This should be playing.
Like it's not very exciting, but oops.
I don't know why it's not. Hang on. Let's try this again. Is it
Being
playing?
ornery?
There we go.
Because we're fighting with the play button. I don't want the music so damn loud, though. Well, anyway, so I've done a little bit of flying in the winter and flying in the snow and stuff, and you get some really cool shots, actually, if you have the guts to do it. But really, the only scary stuff is making sure you're kind of prepared for it, and there's not a lot to do up front other than be sure that your batteries are nice and warm before you go out. So you just throw them in your coat pocket, throw your batteries in your coat pocket, keep them toasty. And then when you start up your drone for the first time on the launch pad, and I don't use a launch pad. You can see I hand launch the drone. I get shots like this. But if you use a launch pad, it certainly makes it a lot easier. You can set the drone down on the launch pad in the snow, keep it clean. And then when you fly the drone, you don't have to worry about getting snow packed up under the aircraft and the camera and all that stuff. It's just going to destroy the drone. Water frozen, water vapor, water anything is bad. So a landing pad is highly recommended, or hand launch, hand catch.
Yeah, I'm actually probably going to fly in the snow next week, so this is actually really nice.
Gloves, you'll never, I talk about gloves. I have a pair of gloves with the they basically have they have touch capability. You can touch the smart controller or the RC Pro and control.
Yeah, I gotta buy myself some of those.
But I never use them because I hate the way they feel. So like every time you'll see me flying a drone, like there I am in my driveway, you'll see me barehanded, hands freezing, flying the drone. And basically I'm good for, if it's about 20 degrees Fahrenheit out, I'm good for about 10 minutes or like, the better part of a battery before I really start to get like where I can't move my fingers. They start like shaking and stuff. But the gloves, you can get really nice gloves in North Face. All the manufacturers make them, and they're pretty nice. But you just have to get used to them.
You flew the FPV through the snow last year, didn't you? I remember you doing some shots of the FPV through that.
Yeah, and they all take it. The drones will take it. You just need to. So you don't want to take off or land in the snow. Like I said, use a pad. But if you're flying in the snow, when you bring the drone back, you do want to have a nice terry cloth towel and stuff to be able to dry it off, wipe it down before you pack it up and put it away. Or even if you're going to bring it back, change batteries and do it again. And when you bring it back, or while you're flying, be mindful because your props can freeze. You can build up ice just like an aircraft. I mean, your wings, your blades will pick up ice, and the drone will warn you. It'll start doing some pretty hokey stuff. You'll get warnings. Bring it back. If your drone starts to get a little haywire, bring it back. Don't even think, just bring it back, and then assess it. Get it back on the ground and take a look. And maybe you're building up ice on your blades, and then just kind of like an abort. So just stuff like that. So just to refresh, use a launch pad if you don't want to hand launch and catch. Gloves are advisable. You just got to get used to them. And I can't get used to them. Honestly, I hate them, but I do have them. I've used them when it's really cold out, like, 0 Fahrenheit or below. I wear gloves if I'm going to fly at all, but I usually don't fly very long. Have a towel to wipe everything down and dry it off before you pack it all up, and just fly safe, people. If the drone gets weird, bring it back, get it on the ground, and
keep your batteries insulated as well. Yeah. So you keep them in like an insulated bag if you can.
I keep them in my coat pocket. You can see my parka is huge. I have room for like 6 batteries in that thing if I wanted to.
But you've had them in your car, which has got the heater on. So then
I've had them in the vehicle. Yeah, like that.
That keeps them warm because I know that's a thing. I know keeping the batteries warm is a thing.
The old Colorado behind me, God rest its soul. It's been upgraded now, so we're okay.
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a little bit.
and it's now bright orange.
It's all
They'll
tell
see you
orange,
coming.
basically, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I hope they see me coming this time. I don't want to go through that again. But yeah, that thing's gonna get some snow use soon, and it'll be fun.
I think
So get out there and fly. Get out there and fly in the winter. It's pretty awesome. Get some great
closest
shots.
winter flying I came to was when I was up that mountain and got caught in the fog that suddenly came over the hill, and the drone started acting odd, and it took me several seconds to work out, switch the sensors off, and then it started flying okay. Does it act odd in snow? Do the sensors get into a bit
I was
of a
gonna
muck and
say
puddle?
if I fly in snow, do I have to
No.
turn sensors off?
I'm sure they could, but I haven't had issues with it. That was something I didn't even talk about. It's the tricky thing with flying in snow is if it sometimes, of course, it collects on the lens of the camera a little bit, screws up your shots. But if so it could collect on the cameras of your sensors too and do something similar and obstruct view. But I haven't personally experienced like a sensor locking up on me or whatever. So that's a good point. You would want to be able to turn your sensors off. And Keith, you've talked about this before when you were flying and you got caught in some unexpected fog. You had to did you manage to disable the sensors? Because some people have had to wait till the battery goes flat before they could land it.
Disable the sensors. That's what does it, because it's downward facing sensors can't get an accurate measurement of the ground, so it just makes the drone act odd. Now, if your drone is flying, because the other thing I've heard cause it is when you're flying over snow in bright sunlight, because of the reflection off the snow can confuse it. So if you're a competent pilot, switch off your sensors. Just remember that you've switched them off. So would be my only piece of advice. I don't have that much experience with winter, because hell, it was 18 degrees here the other day, and that was cold enough for me. Thank you. I was in a hoodie.
I think the first, what's funny, Keith, the very first time when my Mavic Pro showed up on my doorstep on a weeknight in March, I think it was it St. Patrick's Day, I think was a Saturday. I had it all charged up, and yeah, there was snow on the ground and everything, because I'm in Syracuse. It snows until like April or May here. But anyway, my first flight was in the snow. My second flight was in the snow. My third flight was in the snow. And I'd shovel the driveway at my house. I'd shovel the driveway down because I didn't have a landing pad or anything. I just set the Mavic Pro on basically the mostly bare driveway and take off and land there and stuff. But
I had a question about the Mavic 2 as well. If I'm going to be snowing, flying as it's like actually snowing, I've heard people of like taping the vents on it, but I think that can lead to overheating. Is that something that you do, or something that
I don't cover anything up? I've flown in rain as well, because
I've got caught in Thai rain, and that's saying something. But because of the props going around so fast, it keeps most of the rain off it. I mean, I caught the spark in the rain once, and that was a proper torrential downpour, and the spark was fine.
Yeah, just dry it off. It's a good idea. I have a terry cloth towel in my bag all the time to wipe down gear anyway. I mean, just year round. You never summertime or whenever you could be out. I was flying the Mavic 2, and I wanted to fly out to these rocks out off the coast of Oregon, and it started misting and stuff. And the shots were epic. When I got back, I had to wipe down the drone. It was a little damp, but I would not cover up. You don't have to cover up the vents. I think
that never happens here in California. It's always hot and sunny, and it never rains. Never does anything.
Never rains. Is that a song? Never rains in Southern California. I thought that's an old 70s song.
I wouldn't intentionally fly in the snow, and if you do, I would keep it to a minimum.
What? Not intentionally fly in the snow? What?
If it's actually snowing heavy? If it's heavily snowing, that's what I'm getting at. You can fly when there's snow on the ground, but if it's heavily snowing,
I think that FPV video was snowing pretty damn hard.
Yeah, but the FPV is a slightly different thing. The FPV is a much simpler drone, and actually the bits that you worry about on that drone are on the back and protected by that cover. The Mavic 2s do have those vents that can suck in stuff, they don't tend to do it that much. I would look. I've flown it in rain and I never had a problem. I've known lots of people that have flown in the snow. It wouldn't be something I would go and like spend 3 hours flying in the snow. If you're up there for 20 minutes getting snow shots, that's one thing. Just don't leave it in that kind of condition for extended lengths of time, if that makes sense.
You can pop it up. You pop it up, bring it back down, get a couple quick shots. That's planning your shots is always a good idea anyway. We all know that.
Yeah, I have to start planning my shots anyway, you know?
Yeah, a little bit. You need to, while you're getting the drone set up, ready to fly it and stuff, it's always a good idea to look around and think about, what do I want to do now? What do I want to accomplish? What do I want to get shot wise? And then at least run it through your head a little bit, because like Ash will tell you, fail to plan to fail. And those are true words, because I've failed many a time by not thinking stuff through in advance ahead of time.
True that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our final topic, we're going to talk about which editor you should use, because Chuck and I were talking about this, because at this time of year,
we battle.
Well, no, we don't,
Windows,
because
Apple.
This isn't a battle.
Kidding.
We're not going to.
I'm kidding.
But I wrote I see this so many times at this time of year, especially when people are getting drones for Christmas and they ask this question. And I wrote an answer to somebody's post on this the other day, and I did not, and this is not favoring any one of them. Okay, there are 3 big editing programs, and that is DaVinci Resolve, Adobe Premiere, and Final Cut Pro. Right? I have seen so many people saying use Lumia Fusion or use Coral. What was the one that you used to use? Coral
Video Studio.
Coral Video Studio.
Yeah, that was what I cut my teeth on for a number of years.
Here's the thing. For most people that buy drones, if they are thinking about editing their drone footage, sounds the reason they're probably going to get into editing. And I say, look, don't bother with one of the cheaper ones. Go out and get one of the 3. It doesn't matter which one it is. Each has its weaknesses. Each has its strengths, its positives. But the 3 most widely supported, the most free tutorials on YouTube, the most plugins are these 3: DaVinci, Adobe, and Final Cut. Now, Final Cut is a one-off payment of $299, I think.
That is very similar.
£249. DaVinci Resolve is similar, is it not?
Well, no, wait. DaVinci comes in 2 flavors, right? So
there's
Resolve
the free
17
one that I use.
The public version is absolutely free.
I like it a lot. It's like a full program. It's not like a tutorial where it's half baked. It's like an actual editing program. I can't believe it's free. It lacks just a handful
of things that kind of like a microwave. Once you have them, you can't live without them. And they're just there in the background. But so the free version is free. That's the public version. The studio version is similarly priced to Final Cut, and that is right around $300 US. And they had a deal last year where you could get the speed editor along with it, and they were the same. They were just that same $300 basically. So, but that was last year. But so then Premiere Pro by Adobe is the 3rd big player, and that's very popular.
You see, here's the thing. So
is a monthly.
Adobe Premiere is subscription software. You can get it with the entire Creative Cloud. You can get it on its own.
Yes.
But that is a monthly or yearly subscription. Now,
but then you're continuously upgraded too, that is a benefit of Premiere Pro.
So is the other 2. So are the other 2. In fairness, you get little tweaks throughout the year with Adobe stuff, and then you get a major version flavor after their conference every year. All 3 have their quirks. All 3 have their, as we've said, but the thing about these three is, and DaVinci, there is an argument for DaVinci because there is a free version of DaVinci which still runs all the plugins.
Yeah.
And plugin developers are now taking DaVinci seriously. It used to be the big two; it was either Final Cut or Adobe, but DaVinci. People are now taking DaVinci seriously, and I would say there is an equal amount of videos now online. They are not all the same. Now, the one thing I know about DaVinci is that it can operate a timeline like Adobe Premiere, but it also has the magnetic timeline.
You can turn
like
it on and
Final
off.
Cut. You can turn it on. It can
Yeah.
emulate one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good. The coloring if you get into coloring, as much as I love my Final Cut, DaVinci is just way better.
I haven't made
It
use
is-
of the coloring. So like I would
God,
probably
it's so good for color grading. Oh man.
Yeah, I personally haven't made full use of the potential of DaVinci's
I-
coloring.
I
I would
would-
be okay
yeah.
with Final Cut or even Adobe Premiere Pro. I'd be fine with either one of those with what I'm doing with coloring right now. But something, just stepping back a little bit. So you get a brand new drone and you're like, okay, the first thing you realize is you can't just put your footage up raw. Nobody's going to watch it. It's going to be boring. So you start to think about editing. And then one of the things that's going to come across your mind pretty quick is, well, some of these editors, like the lower priced, more consumer ones, they all have music canned in them. It's not good music, but it has music. It's canned in there. And that's that's what got me into Video Studio, because it's like, oh, I have music. I don't have to pay for a music service to get music. Well, you're better off getting something like Premiere Pro, Final Cut, or DaVinci, and you won't have music built into the software, and you will have a bit of a learning curve. But you're going to have a learning curve anyway if you're just starting out. You're going to have to figure it out.
Yeah.
So you might as well get the big boys, and then you'll grow into it. There's so much help on YouTube for these big three. The other ones, like I go find Video Studio stuff, was like, I had a hard time finding really good help on it. But anyway, so as far as music's concerned, YouTube has this huge pile of free music you can use to cut your teeth on it and get used to it. And then you're probably going to find yourself eventually wanting more. And it depends. Everybody's different. Like Keith and I are really, really into our music. We feel music is the backbone of our videos. It makes or breaks our videos. It's more important than even a good picture is having really good music. So we're both on Epidemic Sound, and you can go to either one of our channels. We get a little boost if you grab the 30-day trial from us. But just saying. But anyway, music's the thing that got me tricked. I got tricked and trapped into Video Studio for a very, very long time, longer than I should have. And the best thing I did was just get DaVinci. I got the free version and just push through it. And it took about a month to get like back to where I was with Video Studio. And then it was just all forward. Like everything I can do with this editor, with DaVinci, probably Final Cut and Premiere Pro, is just so far and above and beyond anything I could ever do with Video Studio. It's just there's no turning back once you're.
We should say, as Chuck has said, and I agree with everything Chuck has said, that if you get into editing, you are going to end up on one of the big three. You
will get into editing
eventually.
There's no way.
But if you are just doing sort of basic editing, you just want to put stuff on social media or stuff like that, yeah, the cheap packages are fine. LumaFusion is great because you can pick. It has a really, really good iPad app, and if you've got an iPad Pro, that thing will edit 4K footage without a problem. There is Filmora, which is another one, as Art pointed out.
Oops, sorry.
They are all good, but what Chuck has just pointed out, if you get into editing,
like real serious, like you want to be the best you could possibly be, and you're willing to put in the time and effort and grow, and that's something I'm really personally, you can tell I'm very interested in making stuff for YouTube that is just like as close to Hollywood as I can possibly be. And that takes a real editor, one of these three. You can say the other ones are good, and they are. But to really, really, really be awesome, you have to work hard at it and learn one of these three and just pick one. You can try them all for free for a month. You can try with DaVinci, you can try forever for free. But you can try them all for a month and experiment with them. Like get Premiere Pro for a month and really try it. I mean, for a month, really create with it and play with it and use it. And then, okay, let that expire. And then maybe try, if you have an Apple, try Final Cut and then see how you like that. And
here's the thing. If you've got the Mavic 3 Pro,
you have master shots now. You don't have to edit anymore, Keith. You have master shots.
If you have the Sin Edition Mavic 3, you've got you've bought that.
Don't mean to insult, but master shots is, cheesy.
Final Cut is probably the answer for ProRes. I say this, and just stick with me.
No, I'm listening because I think you're right. Because that's Apple based.
Right, but it is very telling when you see Apple launch their brand new MacBook Pro, which I have one and it's lovely.
I knew he was going to get that plug in.
And the video editing software company that they feature is not Final Cut, but DaVinci. And I can tell you that DaVinci is blisteringly fast. If you are into Final Cut, there is a very, very nice plugin called Color Finale that effectively gives you the same coloring stuff that you get with DaVinci. If you are just starting out, I would probably, if it was me, and this is a Final Cut user, would probably recommend DaVinci. I like Final Cut because I'm an old git who learned these apps a while back and I can't be bothered to learn another one. But if you're starting out, DaVinci is the up-and-coming one, and they certainly seem to be taking the market. And from the comments from the guys that are in the chat all saying, well, DaVinci, I don't think I disagree with them. Final Cut's pretty good, and the latest version of Final Cut with its object tracking, the object tracking on Final Cut is awesome. It's really good.
You will find that on the other two also, though. Like I have
not quite as good as
really?
As easy as Final Cut. Sorry, but Final Cut have nailed.
So
nailed it.
That's another point, though. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Final Cut has their version of tracking. DaVinci has theirs. Premiere has theirs.
They're all different. But
the thing
once
I like
you get used to it, it's like using, like I have to use Fusion for graphics, and you use what's it called in Final Cut?
Motion.
Yeah. So like get used to this stuff, and then you learn it, and then it's like, yeah, you're good. It doesn't matter. You just have to get past the learning curve on any one of the big three. You just have to get past the learning curve.
I'm of the opinion that if you're starting out by just editing like basic stuff for social media, you should, and you want something cheap, you should just go with the DaVinci Resolve free version.
The freebie
and
one.
If you happen to want to get into editing, you already know everything, and you can just buy the full version of DaVinci Resolve.
Be careful, though. It's a trap. It's a trap.
It's true.
This keyboard I just shoved in front of the screen.
It's
true.
Kind of
spendy.
I agree with you. The one thing, I suppose, if you're a photographer and you use your drone to take photography, you're more than likely using Adobe Lightroom. If you use Adobe Lightroom,
then it makes sense to use Premiere Pro in a way.
Get Premiere Pro, because the coloring on Premiere Pro is very, very similar to Lightroom in the way it works.
And you have all those you have all the products. You're just paying that monthly whatever license.
I mean, Adobe Premiere is
that makes sense.
It was the original pro level video editing app. Final Cut was used by the sort of niche Hollywood studios until Final Cut 10, and then everybody kind of deserted it because they couldn't get their heads around the magnetic timeline. I personally like the magnetic timeline, but it's not for everybody. But the great thing about DaVinci is it can do either.
Exactly. So it's literally the flick of a button.
It is. You
DaVinci
click on the magnet. Click the magnet on and off, and it's a little symbol, a little icon of a magnet on the right below.
If I had to recommend one, I think Henry's hit the nail on the head. You can get the free version of DaVinci. There are tons of YouTube videos on it. The plugin studios.
Casey Ferris that's his name, right? Right, Henry?
Yeah.
Casey Ferris is one of the guys he's one of the big ones they post all the time on tips and tricks. Like I was trying to figure out how to use my Insta360 camera footage, bring it into DaVinci. And this one creator had a video. I was like, there's a free plugin. You grab this, you put it in DaVinci. So all I had to do was get my 360 footage through their app just to export it, because it has to touch the 360 app. And then it went into DaVinci. I could do it all in DaVinci. Anything I want. It's like having 1,000 cameras in one. Sorry, a little squirrel moment.
There is and there isn't some truth in this.
Yes,
you can buy a Mac Mini M1, which will cost you between $500 and $600, and you can plug that into anything, and you can run DaVinci free version on that, it will absolutely blister through 4K footage, no problem. It won't even stop for a drink. It will just. That's the thing. Yes, you do have to have hardware.
Yeah,
you do have to have hardware.
Windows, you gotta have a nice PC, but like the new Apple stuff is actually really good and really efficient at doing things like that. So if you're trying to buy something for editing, probably go M1. But I mean, if you're running Windows already and you have a nice enough PC, you should be fine.
DaVinci's offered in both flavors, Apple and PC. You can get the software for either.
I think if you're getting into editing, then you do need the hardware to back it up. But if you're buying a Mavic 3,
I mean, like
if you're buying a Mavic 3,
spend
you
$600
need the computer
on an
to
M1,
back
you
it
know
up.
what I mean?
It's just, I got to go off topic a little bit though, sort of, because like if you're gonna buy a Mavic 3, why the hell do you care about master shots anyway? I mean, that's like, sorry, I mean, that's like a joke. So anyway, that's for the get past master shots like fast. If it's like start flying like be a pilot, get your own shots, go out there and get killer stuff.
If you have someone else do something for you, then you're never going to learn how to do it the right way.
No, I'm not saying, and I shouldn't. Yeah, Henry,
I agree with you. Look, Master Shots has its place on the Air 2S. I have no idea why it's on the Mavic 3. But if you're buying a Mavic 3 and you're sticking that thing in H.264, the H.264 is okay.
Maybe you just want to maybe you don't want to. Maybe you just want to be lazy and get some shots at a location. Just let it do master shots and bring it back. Okay, I'll sort that out later. But really though, I mean, that's the one thing that puzzles me on the Mavic 3. I guess they wanted to broaden the market because they're like, okay, here's a guy with a stupid amount of money in his pocket who doesn't really care about editing and stuff. So we'll put master shots on for that guy. That's all I can figure, Keith. It's on it for that guy.
No,
but they don't do anything for the actual pros that they're trying to sell it to.
Not yet.
It's like what? The Fly app.
Yeah, why do we circle back around? We went off. I took us off of editing.
Not an actual app. What?
Sorry.
He's having a Game of Thrones level hissy fit that I have. I broke my mic on my live stream the other day because of my usual going off on one about Game of Thrones. If you want to know what I'm talking about, check out the Monkey Nut Punch podcast on the Sunday live 3:00. I complain a lot about a certain author of Game of Thrones, but that's another topic for another thing.
So we'll get off the Mavic 3 thing. But seriously though, if you do want to edit, get back, Keith. If you're serious about editing and you're getting all these clips piled up when you're flying your drone, or you're using your ground camera, or both, or cameras and drones, you're gonna have to edit it, man. You're gonna have to edit it. So pick one of the big three and play around.
The M1, the Mac, the M1 Mini. I know it's an Apple, and I know that's going to switch some people off. Try to be a bit more objective on this. The M1 Mini is probably one of the cheapest, high-performing editing boxes out there. It's true.
100%.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
I agree.
I know it runs Mac OS. I know it's got an Apple logo on it, but you don't have to run Final Cut. You can run DaVinci on it, and even with DaVinci on it, it is blisteringly fast.
What's that run you, like US dollars? What's that run you?
It's about $600 or $700. The boat.
Okay,
The lowest M1 with like the 8 gig of onboard RAM. Okay, it's only got like 100. I think it's 256 SSD in it. So you're going to have to get yourself like some external SSD drives, and that's going to set you back.
Okay, yeah. Because like I'm running my my little HP Spectre is it's an i7. It has the what do they call it? The core graphics in it or whatever. It handles DaVinci on the go. Maybe probably not as well as that M1 though. Not as well as that M1.
So your laptop hasn't got a 32 core GPU.
Hell no. And then no, proxies are my best friend. So if your computer is struggling like my little, but I'm sorry, I got off topic a little bit. The point, my laptop costs twice as much as what you just described. That's twice, if not 4 times as fast as my laptop. So if you can stand going to Apple, and I personally can't. So like if you're with me, you're like, screw it, I'll write a bigger check and get a PC with like some horsepower. But
yeah, but you could, some of us are lucky enough to afford that. But if you're looking for a decent, cheap editing rig,
you could do that with DaVinci. DaVinci is going to feel the same on the Apple as that. You could use just for like DaVinci, and then of course browsing is browsing. So yeah, you could use an Apple product. I could use an Apple product. I
actually looked up the prices, and so the Mac Mini with an 8-core CPU and an 8-core GPU with 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigabytes of memory is $699.
That's hard to beat, man.
The 8-core 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU, 512 storage is $899, and if you want that's the only two that are on their website.
And it can do 4K H.265. It can do 4K H.265. It might struggle slightly with the 5.1K. But
that's funny.
I understand Henry's anger and frustration towards the Mavic 3. I really do. As I said, I broke my mic with the frustration of something else. But I get it. But the editing things, I still think Henry's recommendation is that the DaVinci is your way forward if you're looking for one, or one of the other two if you have
biased.
things. Yeah. Adobe apps, I understand what you're saying, Espin. I've had some frustration in the fact that they charge a lot of money. They had a beta version of Apple's latest OS 6 months before it comes out, and they still don't have their apps ready on day one.
You know what?
That's a frustration of Adobe.
They all have issues, though. They all have issues. I was going on vacation with Lori, and right before we went on vacation, DaVinci rolled out an update. I load the update. Well, guess what? The update crashed perpetually. So I actually had while I was on vacation, I just wanted to play around with editing a little bit. I had to roll back to the previous version of DaVinci. And then after I get back from vacation, DaVinci releases a new version that fixed all the crap that they broke in the last one. So they're all guilty of it, but that's just part of it. The big three are
kind of how it is, though. Kind of with all of them. They each have their own little.
I actually went to a beta OS on this laptop because of a bug to do with multiple monitors that was happening 3 times a day, and it was winding me up to the point I went, screw it, I'm going to beta software. I was lucky because 2 days later they actually released the full-on software, so I went, no, take it off the beta.
DaVinci did it really fast too. I mean, really, we think about the turnaround in a less than a month. That's a quick turnaround.
I mean, personally, I think Adobe Lightroom is probably one of the best photo editors out there.
That is true.
And either the classic version or the app-based version. But if money is no object, then have a play with all three.
You can try them for free. You can try them for free.
But
DaVinci you can get a 90-day trial.
But you're gonna end up. DaVinci's a trap though, because it's an easy trap. It is flat out free. The public version just doesn't cost you anything. Just if you have the hardware to handle it, like Kai pointed out, you do have to have hardware to handle any one of them.
If you have the hardware to try it, I recommend just downloading the free version of DaVinci and trying it out. Even if you're just like a small editor or something and you just want to edit small stuff, just learn how to do that one. If you want to switch later, you can, but you're at least learning one of the big three.
You're learning one of the big three, and they're all similar. They're not like totally different. They're similar. So you could, if you start to get into like Premiere Pro, or you try it out for a while and you're like, well, maybe I should try DaVinci. You could have DaVinci on the side and try it out.
They all have free versions. It's
try 30 days of one of the other ones and just see how it goes.
You can even export a Final Cut project into DaVinci for coloring and then export it back into Final Cut, they both support that.
Yeah.
There
I heard about that.
There is that function.
Pretty cool.
I agree with you that you have to have the hardware to back it up, but if you're buying a drone like, well, even the Air 2S, if you're buying a drone like that and you're using that drone to its capability, you need a machine to edit that footage.
If you're spending $3,000 on a Mavic 3, if you're spending $3,000 on a Mavic 3, I remember spending $2,000 on the Mavic 2.
But even if you're spending,
you're going to get a new PC too. It's just part of the deal.
Even if you're spending $800 on an Air 2S, the H.265 D-Log footage that came out of that, my 4-year-old $3,000 Mac wouldn't play that.
No, it just it kills it.
It kills it because of the 4K.
All that compression's hard to. Yeah, it's just hard to deal with those files.
So, I knew he was going to get that in just before he went. So, can we sum up that Da Vinci's the best? Have a nice weekend. I think they all have their pros, but the coloring in Da Vinci is awesome. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree.
I find motion easier for graphics than I do the noding system in Da Vinci. But I get why people like Da Vinci.
I think everybody everybody watching the stream or in the chat should do some homework over the holidays and just grab one of the big three and spend the first month of the new year just try one out. Really try it. Create with it. Edit some footage with it and see what you think. Just pick one. They're all free for 30 days at least, if not
90
more.
days on Final Cut. You can get a 90 day Final Cut.
So that's you could actually do a head-to-head. You could take Da Vinci, which is free as long as once you install it's free, and then Final Cut for 90 days and spend the first 3 months of the new year just trying them both. Do the same project in both or whatever.
And I do believe there are trial versions of Adobe one way or another.
There is. You can get an Adobe trial, and then like Mike Miller pointed out earlier, they don't want you to go. It's like the rest of them. Once they have you, they don't want you to go. So like they're like, what can we do to keep you? You can get the monthly fee drop down.
I use Adobe Creative Cloud, so I have the full thing because I use Illustrator and Photoshop. I use Audition from time to time to clean up thing. And Audition again, a lot of Adobe's apps.
Is that Dre in the house?
Adobe apps.
I see.
So
Dre.
if Audition was actually a really good recording app that was made by another software company that Adobe bought out, a bit like Photoshop and Dreamweaver and a few of the others, which I don't use Dreamweaver anymore. But the Creative Cloud is worth the money if you use more than 2 Adobe apps.
Yeah. My literature guy for the company I work for, Dyken, he has Creative Cloud and he has all of Creative Cloud, and it is awesome.
And the I have to say the M1 optimized version, whereas it take about 30 seconds to start Illustrator on my old Mac, it's literally about 2 seconds on this.
It's awesome, man. I can't deny that that's not awesome because when I go to start Da Vinci on this thing, I'll do it right now. Let's see, 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10 1,000, 11 1,000, 12 1,000. Still, there it is. So it took like
Final Cut just loaded in. That's I just loaded Final Cut. Yeah, literally. Yeah. About 5 1,000s, I think Final Cut to load on this.
Yeah. So it took me. Actually getting to it past the splash screen and everything took close to 15 seconds on my machine, and it's no slouch.
How much mine takes.
I would admit that the machine that I've got here is not cheap. It's in fact ridiculously expensive. Yes. Anyway, well, I think that sums up our topics.
Yes.
I know that Chuck and I will probably end up with Mavic 3s of one description or another, but I do love my
Place your bets. Who's going to get one first?
I will probably end up with the RC Pro before that, unless you see, if they fix this RC Pro thing, right, that's another sort of reason to go and buy the Mavic 3, because I'm not getting rid of my Air 2S. I have a reason to keep the
Mike says the
but-
stream will crash.
and now the stream will crash. Yeah. But hang on. I'm just gonna. There's a comment here. I am a big believer in being better at the camera settings and post production. Right? The more post work, the longer the time spent doing. I agree with you that the more that you can do when you're shooting, the better. This is something that Chuck will say that I always tell him. The more you can do in camera, the better.
I agree.
Yeah.
You can fix Dre's absolutely right. So are you, Keith. When Dre says that, it's like, to do it right to begin with will save you hours
later on.
Yeah, in post. And I've spent those hours in post. Like, I have Scotland footage where the wireless mics weren't connected to the camera for whatever reason. So I had to grab the audio streams and bring them in after. And it's like, oh my God. And that's just the audio side of it. And, just plan your shots and stuff. Get your settings as close as you can to perfect, like Dre said.
In actual fact, because the editors has been our first creative corner, this topic is going to be one of our topics that we're going to talk about. We've got our next one is sound, but this is the next one, is do as much as you can in camera. So yes, both Chuck and I are massive believers in that.
I've been punished by not doing that. I've been punished. Get your white balance and everything right up front. You don't want to be screwing around with that stuff later.
So we will be back in the new year. We're hopefully going to be doing quite a bit on this channel in the new year if Chuck and I can get our act together.
We can get our act together.
And, have bosses to just leave us alone and let us play with our drones instead of doing work and still
pay
us.
What's up with these boss guys anyway? It's like, these freaking kind of crap is this?
I shouldn't be as busy as I am at this time of year.
Well, if we get like a million, Keith, if we can get 1 million subscribers on 2K drones, we could just have this be our biz.
Yes, if you happen to be in the comments and you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Please
consider it.
Please
and share us. Share us. It's like it's Christmas time. It's the holidays.
Yes.
Share us. It's the gift that keeps on
giving.
Share us. Sharing is caring.
We're easy.
We are.
Anyway, it just leaves me to say thank you for sticking with us throughout this year, for all the regulars in the chat. I know we've sort of been a bit irregular, but we've had an interesting year, as most people around the world have. Wherever you are, I hope you're keeping safe, especially at this point in the year. Have a really, really good Christmas and a very drunken New Year, except you, Henry. You're way too young.
Don't tell us about it.
Only one whiskey for you, but
1 dram. 1 dram.
one dram.
Until I've been.
Yes. By the way, I had to buy a bottle of whiskey the other day because ever since you were in Scotland, it's like, I miss Scotch. I need a Scotch.
I have 2 really, really good. Lori's in the chat. Lori, we might have to pour a little bit of one of them.
I've got a bottle of Johnny Walker White Walker, which was a tie into Game of Thrones, but it's really good whiskey.
Yeah, the Talisker, Talisker we brought home is Nice Point is ridiculous, and that's an 11-year. And now we're really off topic. But yes, everybody have a very safe and happy holiday and New Year and everything. And we'll be back.
Plug your channel.
After that.
Plug your channel. Chuck,
Henry, you first, brother.
Yeah, you go first, bud.
You all know me. I'm Henry Robotic. My YouTube channel on YouTube, it's called Henry Robotic. I do drone videos. I do mostly leak videos on DJI, GoPro, a lot of camera and drone brands as well. I review stuff when I can, and more recently, I'm going to take a trip to Mammoth. Hopefully, get some really cool shots and do a nice video there. So, yeah, head over and subscribe.
Head over and subscribe if you haven't already.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Chuck, and my channel is shared with me and my wife, Lori, now, who's been in the chat the whole time. And Lori and I we've turned Covaction dronography into Covaction, basically. And we are doing primarily travel stuff. It's travel vlogs. I'll probably throw up a couple of camera reviews here and there, but it's anything kind of associated with travel is what we're into. And we really are having a lot of fun. We were starting to get out and explore more and vlog it and have a really good time. We'll try to do a lot more of that when we're allowed, but pop over to Covaction Dronography, or look for Covaction. Look for this K. You can find it on YouTube. And stop by, consider subscribing. Maybe throw us comments. We'd love to talk in the chat. It's so much fun in the comments to have conversations going back and forth. So happy holidays, everybody, and thanks for watching today too. And I'm going to send this over to Keith, the master of ceremonies here, Mr. Keith.
Oh no, he's muted.
He's muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was having camera and mic issues. Can you hear me now?
You had
Yes.
a Trump moment.
I did.
You're
But
back.
yes, sorry, you were saying I lost you at the end there for a second. You were sending something over to me?
Yeah. Plug K-Spot.
Ah, right. Yes, my channel, which I haven't put anything on for ages, but there is a video on there that needs some love. Please go and watch it. It's the last vlog on there.
Is this
I
the
will-
bikinis and elephants one, or waterfalls, bikinis and elephants, or
in the
just
one before
bikinis?
that.
Just
Bikinis in the one
bikinis.
before that. Yeah.
See, they'll go
yeah,
over
but-
now because I said bikinis. That's
Yeah,
bikini.
shamelessly plugging out my wife.
She
But
was in a bikini.
she was, and it was her idea. So I don't feel that guilty. Yes, go and check my channel out. I will be doing some videos. I've been saying it for a while, but I will be doing some videos soon on there. So yes, go and check that out. And it just leaves me to say, yeah, have a good Christmas and a happy new year. And thank you to all the people that have been in the chat today.
Thanks,
It's
everybody.
been awesome having you all in there. It's great when people are in there and taking part. So thank you for all the people
Way-
that watch.
Way more fun. Way more fun.
Yeah. And thank you to your good lady wife, Chuck, for sticking in there all this time with us as well. Thank you. And thank you to you, Henry.
Anytime.
You're a busy young man. You still find time to jump on here with us. So it is very much appreciated. So
Indeed.
I
for
hope you
having
have
me,
a
bro.
nice new year. And if your parents are good parents and you've been a good boy this year,
Get your
hopefully
Mavic
they'll
3.
put a nice Mavic 3 under the tree for you.
Yeah, man. You could get one before. Wouldn't that be
Oh,
the
yeah.
spoiler if like
Yeah, that
Henry
would be
has
the
one?
funny thing.
It'd
Is
be
that
funny,
if
wouldn't
Henry
it?
turns out the next one,
Well,
the
you guys
Mavic
left
3.
it.
It's like,
Everybody will have to tune in for the next one after the
We'll
holidays.
have
here
it
and
first. We'll have it first.
see if- yeah. Well, you'll probably already know. He'll put it on his channel right away. Newsflash.
I want people to
No,
watch it, Kai,
no, God,
not
no.
make them sick.
God, oh, I can't unsee
God,
that
no.
now.
Oh no!
Keith in a banana hammock. Oh my God.
God, don't make them all physically sick in the chat.
Oh,
Dear.
Anyway, before
Help us
we
all.
really go into the oh God, Laurie, no. Before we descend into
Yeah, see?
complete debauchery, I think I will say goodbye, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Do you guys want to say goodbye?
I say ×2. Happy holidays,
yeah,
everybody.
time to-
Watch more
Okay.
YouTube, though. Watch more YouTube, specifically us.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
Take
for
care,
watching.
everybody.
We'll see you in the new year. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Bye.